Oh, Rodrigo Moreno. Hello, welcome back to the Roaring Peacock podcast. We talk about Leeds United and amongst other things. My name's Adonis. You know me as at the Adelites on Twitter, and you can see my face there now. So a very good hello from me. And joining us to discuss Leeds Watford, Jesse Marsch on TalkSport, Norwich versus Burnley, the weekend in general, Leeds finances, and the scum protests. And we'll also be joined by Stephen Wignal of marching out together to talk about the Peacock's mural. It's that clown from the internet at Barney LUFC 21.
All right, mate.
And Big Mac, the Prince of Darkness himself, at Ewan Metcalf.
The Northern Danny Dyer, as I'm now going to insist on being called.
Right. The Northern Danny Dyer. So a couple of new nicknames then. Barney, let's start off with you. Bob's been on TalkSport and he's decided to call himself Tom and call you that clown from the internet.
Well, basically, it's the comments Jesse Marsch had said today about the training, the overtraining of players, and I basically said, yeah, probably right. We all thought this to a certain extent, but is it right to say that, especially on a platform that like TalkSport? Then all of a sudden it just blew up. I mean, to be honest, I agree with it, but people have just taken something out, and it's not actually. They've lost their heads on it, and apparently I'm a clown now, which probably is a little bit true sometimes. But let's just think about what I tweeted, and then think if I've actually lost my head up about it. I mean, there was actually some good debate in the thread, but then someone said about the some of the quote tweets were just ridiculous. Oh, it's just typical. Our fans are embarrassing sometimes. They'll lose their head over anything. And I said, have you actually read the thread? That's one of the most annoying things about Twitter. Someone will see what someone's tweeted rather than reading the whole thread in the tweet and then get an opinion then first.
You see, before today, like before any of this, I was just, I wrote an article today for the BBC this morning, and I was just sort of saying, basking in the sunshine of the Watford game, easily pleased, 3-0. We've pretty much stayed up. Leeds fans singing, we're staying up, and limbs all over the place, draped over seats, 2 or 3 rows down. Some very old-looking men. No offense if you're in that photo.
Careful.
But it was a fantastic win, a fantastic feeling, and I surfed those feelings for a long time. I don't really like too much drama, and then come on Twitter and everyone's at each other's fucking throats again.
Brilliant. I love it. It's just such a great platform, and it's so positive. Ultimately, the take's bang on, Barney. That's exactly what I've said in various guises and on various platforms today. That everybody could see that the players they're a bit shot, a lot of them. I was saying about Rodrigo, he looked shot under Bielsa and under that man marking system. He wasn't alone. I thought Dallas hadn't looked as energetic, and Llorente and others, Klitsch. But in my opinion, as of yours, I just feel like he's probably right in what he said. That was killing the players, and that they did look shot, and that they were running out of. Physical, that amount of focus in every game, 3 games a week, 2 games a week, whatever, that amount of concentration, the physical and mental demands that puts on individuals must be a strain. And it was showing, wasn't it? I think, we said they looked like they were disjointed, they were disharmony, there was no harmony there. There was, almost like they didn't know each other. It was nothing like the football that we played the season before. So he's probably bang on. Our view, which I think is the right way, why go on that horrible platform, that horrible radio station and say it? Because they're just looking for sensationalist stuff. They've got enough, the kid who used to play for Wolves and Tottenham, I can't remember what he's called now, is insignificant.
Jamie O'Hara.
Yeah, that's
exactly. He won't be remembered as long as Bielsa in certain quarters, will he? I can't remember his name now, and he only finished playing 10 years ago. Agbon others that are just on there to clickbait and kind of get people ringing in and sensationalist stuff. To do it on that platform and do it in that way, which I felt was a little bit disrespectful towards Bielsa, because his techniques and his ways of working had worked for a period of time and it had run its course. I think everybody can agree on that. But just to say it on that platform, I think was the wrong thing to do. And it won't do him any favours. All it's going to take now is him to have a bad run, or the players look a bit tired for a couple of games, and it's going to come back to haunt him. I can't see any positive things that come out of him saying it on radio. Whether he thought it, whether he said it privately, whether we all think it is irrelevant. He's gone on radio and confessed that he's picked up the players from this lost and exhausted position, which I think is wrong.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things to me that I've seen recently. One of them was an interview with Guardiola, actually, and he was saying that one of the things that he learned from Barcelona was that after the third or fourth season there, he realised that he needed to adjust things afterwards. So later with Bayern and now with Man City, he does things like he has a leadership group in amongst the players, and they pass on information and they motivate the rest of the squad. Bielsa, he's never been at a club for as long as he was at Leeds. Yeah. So maybe that is a lesson that Bielsa didn't learn. One of the lessons, on the other hand, that Bielsa learned was, being ripped to shreds by people in the media in various countries, Argentina, Chile, Italy, Spain. And through that experience that Bielsa had, he was very, very careful with what he said to the media in order to try and minimize the clickbait. So I think there's probably some lessons that both of them can learn from each other. I think we all said it at various points throughout the season, is that Bielsa's inability to adapt to the changing situation this season really cost him. And that's what Jesse was saying, wasn't he? What he actually said then, I just want to clarify this in case we get sort of too sensationalized, either between us or in the chat. But he said the injury issue had a lot to do with training methodologies. These players were overtrained. It led them to being physically, mentally, psychologically, emotionally in a difficult place to recover from week to week, from game to game. I have a reputation of having high running data, but also healthy players. You could see in the 15th minute of some of these games when they were almost at the limit, and that shouldn't be the case. People are so incredible. So that was about the training. And then actually towards the start of the interview on TalkSport, he actually said there's been dialogue trying to compare Marcelo and myself, which I find ridiculous. If you've only been a fan, commentator or a pundit, you don't really know what it's like to work on the inside of a team, and everyone has the right to their opinion, but the only opinions that matter are the ones here inside Thorpe Arch. So he already preempted all of it. At the start.
The point remains that we can all learn something from Bielsa, can't we? Whether it be in life or football, that how to deal with the media, probably, even though he did it in his own indomitable fashion and his own style. We can all always learn something from Bielsa. And, he probably is a man that maybe is at the end of his learning. He does it his way, and he's sort of not going to, he was quite stubborn. I think everybody can recognise, we all said that the injuries must be, nobody's that unlucky 2 seasons on the bounce. As soon as we started playing better oppositions and the demands were there more consistently, we've had a tragic position with injuries, and some of that's got to be to do with players working at the very edge of their ability, not abilities, but their kind of physical capability. So I think everybody recognises that. And I'm very conscious, again, it's worth saying, that it probably gets back to Barney's point. That's only a very brief snapshot of the interview, and it was, of course, TalkSport are going to use that because it's the most sensationalist bit, and it's caused ruptions, which is what TalkSport do, which is why I blocked them on Twitter. I don't listen to the radio station. I don't get involved in any of the debates with them because I can't stand that. Can't stand the whole setup. But it gets back to Barney's point. Why can't you have an opinion on a football team that you love and support without everybody else piling on and saying you're wrong? You know, it's about differing opinions, and I follow people who don't agree with me sometimes on politics, on football, on various other bits and bobs. It doesn't, unless they're ramming it down your throat or sort of reacting to posts all the time being really negative or, you know, contradictory, then just let people have an opinion and have a debate if you want to have a debate, or just let it wash over you. But it's a toxic platform at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Barney was a Tory for ages, but since we've converted him,
we can
be friends now.
We got that much shit. He changed his tune. I've just got my mum to turn around now, and I've done the full set. That'll be a harder gig.
And if you look at the threads in the thread, I actually said, I think the players did look knackered, not physically, but also mentally as well. And I totally agree. The fact that Phil mentioned in his podcast that this season, when things weren't going right, Bielsa was using double or even triple murder ball, and even the players had turned around and said, "This isn't sustainable. We can't do this." When Bielsa first came in, murder ball was fantastic, and what frustrates me about why it's on TalkSport have had this agenda since Bielsa was at Leeds about Bielsa burnout. And with Jesse Marsch saying that on their platform, that only emphasises their opinion on Bielsa burnout. And I said in the thread, maybe he could have used a different platform, maybe a high quality news outlet. He had an interview on The Athletic and was never really mentioned about it in there. And like Ewan says, TalkSport are always going to sensationalise it even more than what it actually is. And maybe I bit as well with the clickbait, and probably I have only emphasised it even more a little bit. I'll probably take that on board. But sometimes it's football's opinion. If everyone had the same opinion on life or football, it'd be pretty boring.
Indeed.
Yeah. At the end of the interview, he said he was asked about the people of Leeds, and he said people are so incredibly open and friendly and warm. He was comparing the German people. He was saying that Germans are quite cold. He says there's a genuineness to this region, meaning Leeds, West Yorkshire, that really resonates with me, and the fans have been nothing but positive when they do recognise me. So there you go, a nice little warm note to sort of finish on.
Living in Harrogate, apparently.
Oh, that's it. It's all going to go downhill now. I told you. Get him moved to Weatherby or something. It's funny because our kid was saying that he, when the news came out that Marsch was coming in, Bielsa was apparently going to say bye to the players. I think the same day Marsch, or the morning that Marsch was going to arrive at Thorpe Arch. So quite a few people, including our kid, went up to the training ground, and he was like, I was going to sort of pull you back on your quote there that he actually said data. He didn't say data, he said data. He started running data, and it immediately annoyed me. But apparently he got out of the car and he was like, "Hey everybody, great to see you. Thanks for coming out. Yeah, great, thank you." And like our kid and a couple of others went, "We're not fucking here to see you, mate. We're here to People were really warm to me when I went to Thorpe Arch the first day I arrived here. Yeah, they were all waiting for Bielsa, mate, not you."
I mean, for me, again, like, I have to emphasize this point. I support Leeds United. And I think, it was like beautiful what, to quote Phil Hay, what Bielsa did for Leeds, for the city, for the club. But it was also horrible to concede 3 goals a game and, to just lose and just get pounded every single time. And that Spurs game, his last game in charge, it was as soon as they scored that first goal, it was horrible, because it was a feeling of sadness for him. And I wrote at the time that the real pain was Bielsa's philosophy not working. And actually, when we look back on it, it was probably more his inability to adapt to the situation that was the real pain, because we wanted him to succeed so much. and he was deified, and to a certain extent, absolutely rightly so. But there are people now who are acting like this season didn't happen. And it's almost like he's died or something, and you can't criticize him. No, to a certain extent, Jesse was just being honest, and probably he chose the wrong platform. He wouldn't know historically the Bielsa burnout agenda that they had, and the general clickbait talk shite. But I have found it difficult to listen to some other Leeds podcasts because there's a lot of bitterness towards the board and everything else for sacking Bielsa, and I think it just had to be done, as bad as it was. And when you think about somebody like Wilco, who took us to Division 1, the old Division 1, and then went on to win it. Imagine if this season we'd got anywhere close to Champions League, or you know what I mean? Bielsa would have cemented his place, and he would have been upheld in the same. He'd probably be higher than Wilco, given the current state of football. So it's just, I don't know. People are acting like he can't be criticised. He could be criticised when he was here, and he can be criticised now.
I think a lot of it is a lot of hindsight as well. We should have got that midfielder. We should have spent some money in January. We should have done this in the summer. I told you this was going to happen. Well, it's all ifs and buts, so isn't it? If you knew that was going to happen, get into football then. People don't actually have an understanding of how a second season in the Premier League is. The stats of actually staying up is ridiculously low. So you're not going to gamble again in the second season, especially when we spent 90 odd million in the first season. So a lot of it's hindsight and this and that. But I think, to be honest, with the decision to get Marsch in, I think at the moment it's working.
Yep, I'd absolutely agree. Okay, some of your chat then. Woohoo, says Nora. It's just generally happy or happy to see us, maybe. Brilliant game at the weekend. Leeds forever. MOT, says Brian L. All clowns, aren't we? Says Nora. Said I wasn't bothered about performance, just to win 3-0 will do. Yeah, we haven't talked about that. We'll have to get onto it. Alison and Marty Adams. Jesse done no wrong. He was honest. And like Jesse to say, no big egos in the first team, but some in the under 23s just honest for me. Yeah, interesting. Don't go on Twitter and never will, says Gail. Somebody looking after their mental health, always lovely to see. And Jesse was asked the question. He didn't say Bielsa's methods were the reason the players were tired. He's been very respectful to Bielsa, I think. And that's kind of what I wanted to finish on as well. Is just like, if you listen to the interview, he sort of started it off by saying that there's been a lot of comparisons with him and Bielsa. And then I think he was basically just defending himself. Like if you listen back to what he was saying, he was making that criticism of Bielsa, which we've again said is, okay to do. And then he was saying, I have a reputation for having high running data, but also healthy players.
Yeah. I think the biggest sin is it's on TalkSport. That's the thing, innit? It's just like, maybe if you'd, like Barney said, if you'd said it on a different platform, even in a different way where people maybe read the full context, but what TalkSport have done is what TalkSport have done forever, which is to sensationalise the bit that's going to get the most coverage and the most kind of, rile people the most, I think, probably, and cause opinion. And I guess that's what their job is, but I just can't stand them. I mean, again, I muted them and I haven't listened to TalkSport since Colin Murray left, and he left for, I always find it funny when Scousers ring up and they sort of ban the Sun, don't buy the Sun, and they listen to that shit. And it's owned by the same group that, when they're ringing in and, sponsoring that radio station, it's the same group that own the Sun anyway. And it's like, well, let's have it right. I just can't stand them. So I think that hasn't helped with my opinion on it, particularly just the fact it's there and what have you. But that's just my opinion on that trashy radio.
Right. Well, it's been a long time since we've had a guest jump on halfway through. So there's a knock on the door. And it's Wiggy!
Hey!
Oh, yeah, well, that looks a bit harsh. Thank you.
Let's have a close-up.
No, let's move it back out. God.
I thought we were going to go POV then.
Yeah. Are we all good?
Good, mate.
Good, mate.
Good. Very good, thank you, Wiggy.
Just heard us covering the Marsch interview this morning.
Right, yes. What did you think about that?
I'll provide no comment because it probably is not what you want to hear. You know my views on that, man. To be fair, I'm coming down slightly to him, right? A little. I'm going to be balanced now. Okay. I said right at the beginning I would give him till the end of the season, and if he kept us up, I'd give him a chance.
All right, yeah.
You haven't given him till end of the season. It would be 5 minutes and you'll call him a used car salesman.
well, he is like a used car salesman, to be fair, but I am trying.
Mate, you're on shaky ground because you gave Tyler Roberts about 2 years.
Barney, help us here, mate.
Right then, Wiggy. So you're here on official capacity, in an official capacity, chairman of the board.
I am. I'm here to talk about some Marching Out Together stuff, which has been a while since we've had a chat about some things that we're doing over at Marching Out. So I thought it'd be a good time to come on and tell you all about it and update you all, I hope.
Right. So briefly, for anybody who's just maybe not aware, if there is anybody, which there probably isn't, but let us know what Marching Out Together are, who they are, and what you do.
So we're Marching Out Together is Leeds United's LGBT plus supporters group, official supporters group now, which is quite exciting. And we are there to make Ellen Road and football inclusive to everyone, especially our LGBT plus fans and allies and things like that. So we work closely with the club to do. How do
you get the official name? Is that, did somebody set up a fake one or?
The club just one day referred to us as official, so we're taking it. Instead of unofficial.
So they follow you on social media now then?
I would hope so, Barney. They better have been doing that for a long time.
Better do.
Oh, we need to have a word.
Right. There's going to be a Twitter storm. Right, so you're here to talk about this mural, and I can reveal it now maybe in this tweet. There you go. Let's go full screen. Look at that.
That's amazing.
Isn't that lovely?
It is. Really nice, that.
Make it slightly bigger.
And I want to be really honest, because I just am very honest. I was really nervous about this when we decided on it, and we got the pictures back from the artist. I was really worried. Like, I thought with our fans, it'd go one way or the other, and they may not kind of get where we're coming from and what we're trying to do with it. But let me just be clear, like the support, the messages have blown me away, and the guys at Marching Out on the board, they were very they were putting me in my place, saying, chill out, this is going to work, like people are going to get it and people are going to understand it, and they really have. And I think that's really, really important, because it's completely different to all the other murals you see around the city which have popped up.
So it's a peacock, and it says, "We are so proud," Marching Out Together on the top. So can you tell us what the thinking was behind that?
Yeah, so the mural is about, is obviously Marching Out Together, but we also wanted to celebrate community, and we wanted to nod to quite a few things that are Leeds United. So obviously Marching Out Together is the group's name. We Are So Proud links back to the song of Marching On Together. And then these sort of things in there. So obviously the peacock is our what's the right word?
Nickname.
Nickname. It's our history.
Club bird.
Club bird. It's our history. But a peacock's a really proud animal, and that takes a nod to the LGBT plus community in terms of us being really proud of who we are. And then there's a real subtle nod to kind of Ellen Road. So the way that the Peacock is looking towards Ellen Road as you drive by it. And then you'll see in some of the Peacock feathers, you've got the old smiley badge of Leeds United, and you've got our badge in there as well. So yeah, there's loads of little subtle things in there that I hope our fans get and see it and go, wow, that's incredible. It's an incredible piece of art. That's what was really important as well, to get the funding to be able to do it.
It's really beautiful. Like it's a masterpiece. I mean, it's actual art. There's one mural that says "You are me" and "Me are you" or something.
Yeah, there's, and I mean,
with the best will in the world to the person who thought that up. It's a font, isn't it? Like, I mean, let's face it, it's not art, is it? I mean, this is a real piece of art there.
And we were really wanting to create a piece of art, and I think the artist we chose is an international artist who did the mural at the side of the Leeds train station with the owls, and so it's the same artist. And we searched high and low to get the correct person, and we consulted with them, with our fan group, to say kind of what does Leeds United mean to you? What does the LGBT plus supporters group Marching Out Together mean to you? What does Leeds United mean to you? And they took all our ideas on board and came up with something that I think is unique. And I'm not, the murals for Leeds United that the Trust have done and that others have done are fantastic murals. We just wanted to come at it from a completely different angle. And I think we have.
Absolutely. Looks amazing. And it's like you said, the market thing about it is it's really different to every, all the other murals that you see around the city. Just tell us, where is it, Wiggy?
Oh, so it's on the A64. So where the DHS building is, it's just opposite there. It's on at the end of East Street's Arts building, which we did with it's their building. So we did it in consultation with them. It's there. Well done.
Is it the old St. Pat's boxing club? People know.
I think so. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
It's just in front of my old school. Actually, there's a bit of history on me. But I went like the amount of people that should see that every day. Especially once the bridge is done, is north of 50,000 people that drive over that every day, and I had to drive by on Sunday, and nearly crashed my car.
Drive responsibly, Wiki.
Yes, please do, everyone. But I was just blown away by it. I think all my fears that I as I say, I had at the beginning, they're completely gone, because I think it's an incredible piece of art that represents Marching Out Together, and I hope our fan base in the right way.
How do you go about the funding with it?
You get important people in important places to do important things. So we got some funding from Leeds Inspired, which is a council-run arts funding project thing, and you apply for the funding. So you've got to obviously put in what it will mean for the community and what it will mean for the wider community. You have to make sure you're going to consult on what you're doing and why you're doing it, which is why we consulted with our fan group, and we did some stuff with Leeds United. So you pull together your bid, if you want, and why you want the funding, and then you get a yes or no and a tick in the box. So we got funding for that. We needed a big scissor lift, and I can't remember the company that donated that, but thank you to them. They did a great job and donated the scissor lift. So we got some great people coming out of the community to help and support us and make sure it happened within a reasonable budget.
Excellent. Okay, and it says we are so proud. So just quickly then, Wiggy, are you doing anything for Leeds Pride this year?
Yeah, we are. It's going to be here very soon, isn't it? I think so. Leeds Pride's back on for the first time in 3 years, so that's incredibly exciting. And if you haven't been down, get yourselves down, because it's a great day for both LGBT plus people and allies. At the last match we did 3 years ago, the trust came down and supported us, and that was incredible just to have them there supporting us in the march and us marching out together. We had a walking group of we were probably about 100 people, which is fantastic. Everyone in their Leeds United get up. So this year, obviously, it hasn't been here for 2 years, and we're hoping, fingers crossed, a bit of an exclusive, that we are going to sponsor us marching out together. We're going to sponsor part of Leeds Pride, which we've got a bit of fundraising to do, but if we get it right, we'll put the money in and we'll sponsor it. So hopefully we'll see the marching out together logo in places, and we can build on what we've done before. We're now working with the club in terms of what they're going to do to help us achieve that goal. And again, it's going to be a funny one this year, because when we got to the Premier League, we were like, great, we'll never clash with the kick-off of the season, because we used to clash with it in the EFL because it's a week before the Premier League season. So like, never clash with them, brilliant. But obviously it's going to kick off at the same time this year as the EFL because of the World Cup. So we are going to clash. So hopefully the club will send a player. That would be amazing if they could, and that's what we're going to work on with them, that'll do the march with us. We know that our manager, our head coach, he did the march in San Francisco, so it would be great to have him there. So we've got loads of plans to work through with the club over the next couple of months. But yeah, it's really exciting, and I'll update you nearer the time in terms of exactly what we're doing.
It'll be sounds like it won't be too hard of a sell to him anyway.
Exactly.
No, thank you very much, Wiggy. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for all that you do for the community, for everybody involved. I think it's, we can, no matter what orientation, you make us proud to be Leeds fans and to know you.
That's brilliant. And next time I'll come on as a Peacock, I think.
Yeah, do it.
But I'm gonna leave you guys to it tonight, because you're talking about things that I probably didn't watch at the weekend because I didn't watch the game. So I'll be really honest. You guys talk about that, and I'll watch.
Thanks, Wiggy. Best
Cheers,
of luck
guys.
with the mural.
Take care, mate.
Cheers, Wiggy.
Yep. Oh, look out for your invite to the launch party. We'll announce that as well soon to our members, and there will be one for the Peacocks.
Excellent.
Yeah.
We'll
Great,
be there.
All right. Cheers,
Cheers,
guys.
mate.
Thanks a lot.
Take care, mate.
In a
See
bit.
ya. Bye.
So there you go. That was Wiggy. The Peacock mural. That's a good bit of advertising for us, isn't it?
Yeah, brilliant.
Didn't have to do that.
Didn't have to do anything like that, did we? Didn't have to pay for it. Didn't have to contribute. Just.
Oh dear. Couple of comments. Smash that like button, says Gail. Thank you very much, Gail. And please do that. Support us. I find it particularly difficult to sell myself or the show. Is it embarrassing somehow?
No, we're humble, aren't we? We just keep doing what we do. People want to watch, great. If they don't, well, we're not in it for the accolades, are we? Thank God.
Right. Yep. Gail says, "Don't see us on 33 points with Bielsa." I don't know. Nicholas Griffin. A few bad results don't tarnish the previous 3 years. Pep said he couldn't do what Bielsa did, and how magnificent he was. Toby Hutter, maybe bad form for Jesse to say what he did on TalkSport this morning, but not entirely untrue. I think that pretty much sums up our feelings on it, doesn't it? So let's move on then. Leeds versus Watford. Barney?
I mean, we should be really excited the fact we won 3-0 away. But it was just awful football. You could see in patches what we were trying to do, but some of it was just awful. It was just awful to watch it. There was no quality in the game whatsoever. I mean, even Jesse alluded to it, that basically Watford don't want the ball, but we were literally giving them the ball so we could do what we wanted to do in our game plan. I think some of the positives throughout the game was really, really impressed with Greenwood, and I don't want to get overboard with him because he's another 23 who's going to solve all our problems. But I've been really impressed with him at Watford, and also since he's come on under Marsch. It was fantastic to see Phillips in again. Cooper just a wall of a man. Just fantastic the way he captains that side at times.
Okay, Big Mac.
Yeah, I think we spoke about this week, but the days of kind of pining for brilliant, exciting, entertaining football are long gone. The most important, the only important factor is we got 3 points. We kept a clean sheet. We scored 3 goals, which we haven't done very often this season. That's it. I think that when you're 8th or 9th and you're safe, or you kind of, even when you get towards the top, the nerves kick in. You can kind of see that it's not quite clicking, because it's weird, because I can kind of see that they're not expansive anymore. They're kind of quite limited, which I think the players are finding quite hard to adapt to. But there's a reason for that. It's to make them more compact, and it's to make them less easy to break down. So, we concede a goal or 2. Wolves aside, we're usually out of the game, aren't we? We want to score first. Is usually really important. We want to try and keep a clean sheet, because that usually gets you something, and that's where we're at right now. If we draw the next 6 games, we're staying up, aren't we? So I think that they're the only important factors for me now. I think we can look forward, hopefully, to playing in the Premier League next year. It's not safe yet. It's not done. I've seen a lot of people saying that's it now, we're safe. I kind of said 35, 36 points quite a while ago, and I'd probably stick with that-ish. As a maximum, maybe, but still, you want to get to that 37, 38 as quickly as you can. But yeah, they're the important things now. If we, again, hopefully we're in the Premier League next year and we kick on and we can afford to be a bit more expansive, and Jesse will have time to impart his sort of culture and his ideas onto the team. He hasn't probably had that luxury as yet. But what we've done over the last 4 games is immense, to take the points that we have from those games, to show the grit and determination that we have. And as Barney said, despite it being a lacklustre game and not really being exciting, we got 3 points. And people saying, "Oh, yeah, Watford, it's against Watford, and Watford are rubbish." And they've given some good teams a game recently. Liverpool, notably, taking points off people. They beat Everton. Was it 5-2? I know Everton are bad as well, but let's not start all that. Oh, it's only against Watford, and he's only played Watford and Norwich, and you have to beat who's out there, and we're doing it. We're getting the points we need to stay up, and that's the only important thing.
Yep. So, hang on a sec. So my thoughts on the Watford game. It was terrible. It was terrible to watch. The ref was really poor. Watford was so bad, and we weren't very good either. Giving the ball away a lot. There was a lot of huff and puff, but not much technique until that Rodrigo goal, which we were absolutely gifted. Gift of the season. Thank you very much. Watford will take it. And after that, we sort of relaxed, and we were confident again, and we hadn't had a 2-goal cushion. We'd only had it once, and that was like the last 20 seconds or so against Burnley. So I think, it's been so tense and harrowing and anxiety riddled this season. And, a 2-goal cushion in a game, it always sort of calms you down. We haven't had it all season. So the anxiety has been amped up. And then, as you said, Ewan, with injuries, I don't think any of us have seen anything like it. And whether that is because of training methods or whatever, or just bad luck, which could be a factor. And then I think we were all kind of hoping that it was like for 16 years, it was the EFL's corrupt, and we were kind of hoping for a better quality in refereeing when we got to the Premier League. But still, it's been against us. So it felt like everything has been against us, is what I'm trying to say. And having a 2-goal cushion felt like, for the first time in a long time, that we didn't have to worry. And that's why people ended up, 3 rows in front on their arse and, breaking appendages, not looking very safe at all. So it was a weird game. Not a lot of quality. That first half, you can see what Raphinha means to us. because on some days he's the only player that looks of any decent quality at all. He was the difference between the two teams at half time. He had just that little bit of quality to stick the ball in the goal when he got the chance. And he has had those moments, and he looked really confident, and he does look a lot better under Marsch, I have to say. The same as, not as big of an improvement as Rodrigo, but so Rodrigo Moreno then. Let's talk about him, and then we can talk about Cooper. Different player.
Unrecognisable. Confidence, effort, work rate, ability. Again, I've constantly banged the drum that I think he's a good footballer, he's intelligent, and maybe lacks some intelligence around him. You've just said it. I don't think there's many players who have share his kind of football kind of ideas in the heat of a game. Probably Raphinha is the one. That's probably why they link up at times really well. So I do think he's possibly sometimes a little bit too clever for his own good, but unrecognisable. Again, can't necessarily say on the weekend that he was man of the match, but he was certainly one of the better players. And we said it the other week, he's probably been in the man of the match frame for the last 3 or 4 games. I can't remember the last time he played 3 or 4 games, 5 games as consistently as he's done as well, which is great to see, because that's kind of when we bought him and he came, he started and he played really well for quite a few games. And you thought, we've got a player here, he's going to turn in week in, week out. He's going to get 7 or an 8. He's probably going to score quite a few goals, going to create a lot. We're just starting to see that player back again. So, and he's got a song now, so he's no doubt be made up.
Barney, Liam Cooper.
He reminds me of Pablo a little bit, where he drops into midfield and looks around for that.
Cooper?
We're still on Rodrigo here, aren't we?
I thought, Rodrigo, yeah.
For my sanity.
Yeah, he's starting to remind me a bit of what Pablo used to do, where he used to drop in deep to get the ball and then spread the ball about and then just get into those little pockets of space to spread the ball about. How many times I'm going to say spread the ball about? But he looks a different player, and I think when we first got him in, he had the pressure he must have been under being the most expensive player we've ever signed for 27 million. But I don't think he was one of those players that could probably work in a system under Bielsa. He wasn't one of those players that's just going to run around all the time and do the man marking system. And it showed in our midfield at times as well.
You got a bit Sean Dyche there.
Yeah, I did a bit, didn't I? But
get it in now while you're in the Premier League.
But the way he's come on as a leader as well, every game now recently he's been pointing at players, do this, do that, shouting at players when they're not doing the right thing, disappointing players when they should have passed the ball at a certain time. And I think that's what we've missed certain times for in the system we've been playing. And the fact that he's been put into the leadership group now as well shows that it's not just about his playing style, it's about also the player he is as a person.
Yeah, it's freed him up, hasn't it? It's freed him up to grow into the person that he can be. And I feel like when you're the new person, you're not gonna, unless you're an asshole, you're not gonna immediately start yelling at everybody and telling everybody else what to do. But I know when I've been on a football pitch and I've been given the captain's armband, it makes me feel a hell of a lot better about myself. And I'm sure that the leadership team, for every player who's been involved in that, it's done the same. It's raised them up to a new level. Right, just quickly then, because I know I've said we can't compare, but I'm not comparing here, but I just want to say this is where we were basically after 27 games. And this is like a form table rather than the actual historical table. So here we were. I'm just going to put us on the side and then you can see it. And mute that a sec. So there we were. We played 27. We'd won 5, drawn 8, lost 14. We were actually in the relegation zone, but I don't know why it hasn't done this properly, but it's irrelevant anyway because they're above us anyway. So we were actually here at the time when we lost 4-0 to Spurs. So that was after that game. And now, of course, 9 points clear. I think we're almost there. I said it today. 35.23 is the average number of points needed. So just one more win from the next 6 games, and we're basically clear, you would have thought. So overall, we have to be happy with Marsch, you know.
Top 10. I'm telling you. Top 10.
4 points off 9.
Well, that's how crazy this league is this season. Is that we're from one game away from relegation to a game playing in being in the top 10. That's how tight you've basically got. This is like the other second or third league within this league where you're fighting to get into the top 10. So it's just mental, really, if you look at it.
Okay, moving on. Leeds finances. You did a poll on this, didn't you, Barney? And
yeah,
it was
quite close, actually.
Surprisingly close. You were sort of saying, is Rads doing it on the cheap? And most people said no, but a few of them said yes. So here's the Swiss Rambles thread. Leeds financial results for 2020-2021, when promotion led to a big improvement from £62 million loss in the Championship to £26 million profit in the Premier League. But I mean, £21 million of that was a loan that was written off. So it's really like £5 million. Revenue more than tripled from 54 to club record £171 million, also boosted by £21 million loan write-off, which we mentioned earlier. So Leeds finances. Is Rads doing it on the cheap? To quote Barney.
Go on, Ewan.
Oh,
hang on. Sorry. I've been having to mute you because we've been getting echoes. Right, there you go. Sorry.
Well,
Sorry,
also, I've got work going on in the house. My sons are playing on Xbox, so they're shouting. So it's no doubt you've had to mute me. No, he hasn't doing it on the cheap. You know, he's doing, I think, sensible and as Barney alluded to, you know, it doesn't matter how much you spend. Look at Everton. There's no guarantee that you're going to stay in the league, particularly second season. And Everton have been in it forever, haven't they? And they're still struggling, having spent millions. So I think he's just been sensible and slightly prudent, I guess, with the decision making. And I think Bielsa was an advocate of not just bringing in players for the sake of bringing in players. And it's impossible to bring in players who are going to improve the squad now, even though we know that there's probably players who this could well be the last season, you know, with Leeds in the Premier League, you know, players who've been brilliant servants. I think you've got to be a bit brutal at times and a bit ruthless, but still to bring in replacements for those players at any level is going to cost a lot of money. And I think what we want is to bring in improvements rather than just improvements that are going to, you know, we've now created with Bielsa this identity, this culture, this kind of, it sort of transcends football. And I think that it's even harder then to find players that fit in with the dressing room and the culture and ethos of the team going forward. And I think that's something that we've all been really proud of, and I guess that Raphinha and others will want to continue. So I don't think he's doing it on the cheap. I think he's you know, you can't look at his tenure and look at it with anything other than, you know, anybody who owns a football club is going to make mistakes, but you can only look at it with pride, really, and with satisfaction, I guess, that after all those years in the wilderness and with some pretty appalling owners one way or another, we've got somebody that I think truly cares and, you know, has invested a lot of money. I think one of the only clubs with Sheffield United, I think, you know, in those figures that we saw the other week to turn a profit in the Premier League the other season. I haven't got a problem with that. You know, I sincerely haven't got a problem with, you know, being run financially astutely. So no, absolutely not. And that's why I voted that way in Barney's poll and made that kind of comment, really.
There you go. So that was the profit and loss before tax. So the Leeds are £26 million. Wolves are at the top, 145 million. But £127 million loan was written off.
Exactly. The way you do it, there's a way to do it, I think.
Right. Which seems a bit ridiculous, to be honest, with the profit and loss. Sheffield United, of course. Manchester City, who have been investigated by Der Spiegel for the last few years. They also made a profit through some sort of weird sponsorships that it reminded me of Sheffield Wednesday, how they were sponsoring like the seats and everything. That they set up a fake taxi company, just stuff like that. So and what I said at the time, didn't I, Barney, was, if you look at the state of football finances in general, look at everything that's gone on with Qatar. I mean, agents' fees, players getting paid enormous, like hideous amounts of money. It's just rife with corruption to the core. I think what did sorry, Ewan.
He's gone.
What was it Bob Marley said? He said, "Don't sell your soul for gold," or something like that. I think we're doing all right. I think we're doing okay. And for a fan base that has been through Risdale, I mean, and as you said, Ewan, if you look at Everton, which is the key for me, I mean, they've spent £500 million for what? Done it again. To be a couple of points worse off than us.
You trying to tell me something?
I keep getting an echo. I keep hearing my own voice in your thing. So I was just trying to mute you. Anyway, Barney.
It's funny how if it was any other business and it wasn't making a profit, you'd be questioning stuff. You'd be questioning how that business is being run. But because it's a football club, you're saying, well, 26 million, we could have got a midfielder for that. Well, it's not that easy, though, is it? 26 million. You're not just going to go out and pay 26 million. You've got to pay wages on top of that as well. And I alluded to it a while ago, is that when you get into the Premier League, it's not just about getting better and better players each season. It's about the infrastructure of the club. And I think it shows within other clubs where they're just, prime example, Everton, yes, scum. They've spent over nearly £1 billion, and where's it got them? Because they've got no identity, they've got no structure, they've got no infrastructure. Their stadium's falling apart. The roof's leaking and all sorts. I think sometimes as fans we just need to understand where we are. It's our second season in the Premier League, and yes, last season I was probably getting a bit ahead of myself because we came ninth. Like, right, we need to get into Europe now, but if you take a step back, we just need to understand that the stats for clubs staying up in the second league in the second season is ridiculously low. So if we stay up, and I think it showed in some of the in the accounts that the potential we have with our income through retail and things like that. We're ahead of some clubs that are established Premier League clubs already. So I think that's a testament to how the board is looking at things differently rather than just spending a load of money. I just think we just need to take a step back and understand we're doing it the right way. We need to be sustainable, but also spend money at the same time, and it's not that easy.
Yeah, I think like Scum are a weird one because, when you think about the amount of money that they've spent, it's obviously alarming. Alarm bells are ringing when you're spending £1 billion on players and you're not at the level, say, Man City are, for example. But the problem that Scum have and their fans have is that the owners have been taking out, on average, like £40 million a season. And, we've got a revenue of, I think it was £171 million there. But Scum's revenue is about £600 million a season. So that's why their fans are pissed off, is because the owner is leeching money out of the club. The Glazers are leeching money out of the club through selling shares, and they're not investing the same amount back. And they've also obviously, hilariously, but run it into a fucking cul-de-sac.
The thing is, it's like Barney. I think these days you need to have an identity. You know, Liverpool went all out to get Klopp, and he's given them a football identity. Maybe not quite as, you know, kind of righteous as Bielsa gave us, but certainly he's given them an identity. You know, Man City brought Guardiola in, who's done the same at Manchester City. You know, it's just, you look at Man U and other teams that are there as well, possibly Tottenham, that you know should be pushing for that top 6 season on season and potentially are, but just there's just soulless, aren't they? And I know lots of Man United fans who, you know, even despite, you know, would we swap with them? I'm not talking about culture and off the field activities, but would we swap to be 6th, 7th? Of course we would, but they're not happy because of the way, you know, the things that you've mentioned, but also the fact that it's vacuous, isn't it? The whole setup, you know, I think Van Gaal described them as a commercial entity rather than a football club, or, you know, and that's exactly what they are now. They're a commercial business. They're not they're no more a football club than, you know, I don't know, Virgin Media or, you know, British Airways, or, you know, it's just the way it is, isn't it? It's as we said, it's brilliant. I mean, to look at that, I know we'll come on to it, but the protests that they're organising, just the desperation, it's absolutely superb. It makes for brilliant reading. And again, this weekend, I'm not really I don't watch Man United results, but to see them get beat, even though it was by Everton, it still makes me laugh. I still enjoy my weekends more if we win and they get beat. So, you know, the rivalry is still there, but I just think, you know, I'm more than happy with the way that our club's been run. And we talk about this sleeping giant being awoken. You know, you don't want to get up too quickly, do you, when you've been asleep? You want to sort of get up a bit relaxed and you know, have a cup of tea first, or, you know, listen to a bit of music and then get up and have a wash and brush your teeth. You know, we don't want to get up and throw loads of money at the problem and then come falling down, because that's what, as you said, people have got short memories. I've been a fan for long enough to remember the Ridsdale era, and, you know, it undid us, didn't it?
Right, is that it then?
Right. Keep on.
So a huge week, really. We basically stayed up. The finances were released. There was another Twitter feud. Surprise, surprise. We can't go a minute without having some drama, even after we win. And we had a pretty good weekend, actually. Norwich beating Burnley.
Yeah, brilliant.
Scum losing.
Was beating Watford. Yeah, it was pretty decent. Chelsea showing that they're vulnerable. West Ham showing that they're vulnerable. You know, we've got all. You know, you've got these teams that you're going to play, like Chelsea and Arsenal. Sorry, not West Ham. Who are showing that, you know, they're not all that. They are vulnerable. They're not invincible. So as much as, you know, people always say you won't want to play them the next game because they're wanting to prove a point. You know, they've suffered a bad result. Listen, if Brentford can go and beat Chelsea 4-1, I'm pretty sure we can. You have to catch them on that bad day, and you have to turn up yourself. But these hard games that we've got left, it's showing that you know, they're not invincible, and we've got every chance of taking, possibly like we did last year, taking more points than we might have planned off some of those bigger teams.
There we go. Palace on the 25th, Man City 30th, Arsenal away 8th of May, Chelsea at home on the 11th of May, which I'll be in town for. Leeds United versus Brighton on the 15th, and then Brentford away, last game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So, how many points do you think we're going to get from those games then? Last 6. Hit me with some numbers.
Ooh.
9.
Yeah,
And a lot of pundits are saying that they were talking about the title run in, and they're saying that Man City we could be a bogey team for them when they play us at home. That could be and that's one of the games that I won't be able to go to. I've got all Sean Dyche again. So every game I've missed since I've been a season ticket holder, we beat Millwall 3-2. We beat Brighton in the Championship under Monk 2-0 or 2-1, I think it was.
2-0, yeah.
So yeah, so I think we're going to win that. There you go. I've said it. I think we'll beat Man City.
Hey, listen, the pressure's on them. And I think that the other counter argument to that is, bloody hell, did you see the game between them and Liverpool?
Yeah.
It's absolutely exceptional football, played at a relentless pace. The quality doesn't dip because of the pace is so relentless. It's brilliant to watch. I mean, those two teams were, it was a joy to watch the game, and neither of them kind of took a backward step and didn't settle for the draw. They were still going for it. I thought it was brilliant. So, I mean, listen, we've got our job, we've got our work cut out there, but I definitely think you can get at Arsenal and get at Chelsea. I mean, I'd probably say 8, looking at the last 6 games. I think we might win a couple, draw a couple, and I think we'll probably get beat by City and what we got left, 6. Yeah, I think we'll win 2, draw 2, maybe lose a couple. Lose to City, I would imagine, and possibly lose to somebody else. Maybe one we don't expect. Maybe Chelsea. If there's nothing on Brentford, you don't know, do you? They're a good side at home. So, yeah, I think 8, that'll do, won't it?
I mean, it's just so difficult to predict. That's the problem. Yeah, because all of these sides, we haven't sort of differentiated ourselves really between Palace, Brighton, and as you say, you and Brentford have had a really fantastic season. You have to say, similar to us really last year when we came up, and then obviously Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea on their day can steamroll us. So it's going to be difficult. Every game in the Premier League is hard, and that's what I liked what you were saying, Big Mac, earlier in the podcast when you were saying, but Marsch has only beaten Norwich, Wolves and Watford, but they've had great results at other times as well. So I think on our day we can beat anybody, and I think 18 points. Somebody said, Nicholas Griffin said, I think that's a bit much to ask for, but I could see 9 points.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. And I think that the other thing is, somebody else has mentioned in the chat, these are the games that we've dreamt about playing for 16 years. All them times we were playing Yeovil away and Hereford and, whoever in championship teams, Rotherham, whatever. This is what it's all about, playing in this top league, is playing a tough game every week, whether it be a tough game for different reasons, whether it be somebody who's fighting at the bottom or a Man City who are elite, multi-million pound football team. This is what it's all about, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. Let's. I'm starting to wane here a little bit. If you haven't liked the stream, please do so. If you haven't subscribed to us on your podcast player or on YouTube, please do so. I've also had a bit of a change on Twitter. So for 6 years, I've been posting tweeting as the Adelites. A lot of Leeds United content, but I've sort of come out of my shell.
Took a while.
Bit scary. So you can see my ugly mug at the Adelites now, and I'll be tweeting. I guess I'll be called a clown like Barney, and we'll be clowns together.
Start tweeting about politics and Boris and Ricky getting fined because they had a party.
Right.
We weren't allowed to. Yeah. You can do that now.
I know. I've realised that. Yeah.
Stay away from politics, mate. That's my advice on Twitter.
Yeah.
Some absolute. If you think there's some bell ends associated to football, wait till you get involved in the politics side of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
me and Barney do a sterling job of football, food, bullshit. that's the thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'll put my socks on with my sandals. I'll take a photo of it, and I'm 35. Good God, I'm 35. Look what's happened. There you go.
By the way, speaking of Sean Dyche and his pub lookalikes, Barney has gone pure Burt Reynolds pre-wig. Pre-syrup Burt Reynolds.
Retire, Barney. You're never going to get a better compliment than that.
He has.
I'll take that.
From a clown to Burt Reynolds in an hour. Here's a we haven't done a thing. What's your thing? For a while. So my thing this week has been a TV show called Severance, and if you haven't seen it,
Oh yeah,
give it a go. Wow.
What's the message?
The premise is right. You get a microchip in your brain, and you go into work, and you're like it's Wiggy joined us again.
I hope not. It's a bit late.
It's a bit weird, isn't it? I mean, he's happy. He's welcome to.
We'll be coming back telling you who the scissor, the scissor lift operator was that he forgot.
I thought you were going to talk about scissoring then for a second. I thought just keep it PG.
We did the German porn episode last week, didn't we?
Right. Yeah. So you get a microchip in your brain, and you lose all your memories essentially when you go into work. So the person you are in work is a different person to the person you are outside of work. I won't tell you too much. I don't want to spoil it, but it's honestly, it's fantastic. Very, very twisted, very deep. Makes you think, bit sci-fi elements, but it's not like crazy aliens or spaceships or anything like that. It's just really, really, really good. So there you go. What's your thing of the week?
My thing of the week is this book. So I've been reading this, or started reading it, only came today, but The Club on the Edge of Town, which is written by Alan Lane, and it's a memoir or a pandemic memoir, as he calls it. So it's a chronology, a tale of what happened during the pandemic at the Holbeck Working Men's Club, which is now run by a fantastic organisation called Slung Low, who are technically a theatre company, but during the pandemic set up a food bank, helped us to set up and deliver on our aspiration for the Roaring Peacocks doing their All Elves, aren't we? Which was a campaign to raise money to buy disadvantaged young children in the Holbeck Beeston area a Christmas present. Which, whenever I talk about it, makes me really proud and brings back fantastic memories of sort of hoping to raise a few £100 and then raising up about £4,500 and buying 300 presents. For again, families who may have been under pressure and young people who might not have had a bountiful Christmas. And the book just shares a story of how that club became a hub of a community during a very difficult period of time. But there's a chapter in there dedicated to the Roaring Peacocks and the work that we did around the pandemic, the supporting the food bank deliveries and putting together food parcels, but also the work around All Elves, aren't we, which was a fantastic piece of work by everybody concerned with the Peacocks at the time, and just showed, what I think Alan mentions in the book about, it wasn't a government-driven initiative, it wasn't a northern powerhouse made by a government, it was a northern powerhouse made by brilliant people doing brilliant stuff every day and working really hard to make an impact on the lives of others who are less fortunate. So that's been my thing for the last couple of days. So there you go. Read it, buy a copy. All the money goes to the charity who are still doing amazing work in Holbeck, and it's called The Club on the Edge of Town. And it's also for Leeds fans to bring it round to the podcast. It's a brilliant place to go for a drink before and after the game because it's very cheap beer, number one. We'll walk away from the ground. And me and Barney and Rob, Juicy Rob, have been after the game and had a nice time in there. And it's also full of mental Norwegian Leeds fans. It's like literally in Holbeck, which is a kind of suburb of almost the town centre in Leeds, the gateway to the south of Leeds town centre. And there's like 100 Norwegians in there, and like me, Barney, and a couple of other English people. It's fantastic. So it's a really great experience. And if you can afford, $9.99 or whatever it is for the book, $12.99, I think it is. Buy a copy. Great people, brilliant work, lovely. Alan Lane is a fantastic man. We've got a lot of time for Alan, and if you read the book and you read the paragraph about me, he's obviously got quite a lot of time for me as well, which is a first.
The oldest working men's club in the UK.
Still open, yeah, still operating working men's in the UK. Yeah.
There you go, 1871, and they do incredible work. in the community, not just a theatre company. They did food parcels, and that's what's in that book. And of course, it was such a rewarding thing to do. All else, aren't we? So we're definitely going to resurrect that at some point. Barney, your thing of the week, apart from being called a clown on national radio.
that's every week for Barney. That's every week.
Standard.
I think it just leads on from what Ewan was saying about food banks. A lot of things you see on social media recently about, well, you can make a meal from dry pasta for 50p, and look, this is what I made for £1.20 per head. People don't understand it's not just the price of food, it's the actual price of making the food as well on top of that. So people have got energy bills to pay for, gas and electric. So don't be a dickhead and think I know how it works. It's not that easy for people. Even people like myself in probably a good situation, I've got to take cutbacks as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's loads of costs, isn't there? If you don't do any research, it's very easy to be very opinionated about anything.
Well, apparently everyone does the research, though, don't they?
Right.
Yeah.
So people have dependents. They've got medicines. They've got all sorts of. They've got childcare. They've got all sorts of things that they have to pay for, all these additional costs. And normally the people who are saying, but it's only 50p, that they're often quite privileged in fairly privileged situations, aren't they?
I think it's a lesson that there is no research to do other than going into those communities and seeing how it really is. You can read all the articles you want, and that was the humbling thing we've talked about before. The humbling thing for me, and the thing that really kind of made me feel quite privileged during the pandemic. My business was affected. My businesses were affected. Everybody was affected by it. It wasn't a great time for anybody, but I felt so lucky because I was going into communities, into households, and into, talking to families who had a smile on the face every day, but were dealing with severe hardship, severe poverty. And people can judge all they want. Oh, they still can afford fags and they've still got Sky Tick. It's a load of bollocks. Go and see how these people live, really. Go and see some of the mental health challenges that have been, fought against in the communities, by services that are under pressure. That's the only way to do your research. And I think what the food bank and working in that food bank for quite a long period of time, a year's worth of volunteering, and that's the research you do. And if you do something like that, and if you work with people like that in that context, you won't make sweeping judgments like you do about you can feed a family, on £2, whatever it is a week. It's a load of rubbish, That's the only research that matters to me. So you can talk about all you want, you can read the books, read the articles, whatever. Go and spend some time in those communities and see what you're really dealing with. And as you said, particularly at the moment with the rising living costs and, heating your house and gas and electric and water and everything, the choices are there for people that they have to decide whether to, heat the house or feed the kids or feed some of the family and keep the house warm. That's the reality of what people are dealing with. And unless you've been and spent time in those communities, don't judge people.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen the images of kids, I try not to eat too much. I only have a piece of toast or something. It's 2022 in modern Britain. And you talk about, don't mention politics, but there's always an implication there. I mean, you only have to look at the crumbs at the bottom to understand, trickle down Thatchernomics isn't working, and there's the evidence right there. I don't really care. I know some people support political parties like football teams, for example. I don't care about that. I just want whoever it is to do a decent job.
Yeah, exactly. To be competent and caring and in touch with what's going on around them. And I think that what you can say, I'm not a political person. People always perceive my sort of vaults and rants at Boris and the whole Conservative Party as me being a Labour supporter. I'm not a supporter of any party. I'm a supporter of, good people doing brilliant work, whether they be whatever colour flag they wear, you know what I mean? So the point that they've embarrassed themselves for such a long period of time and lied and got away with it, and not being in touch with their people that they're serving is the embarrassment for me. And that's the only thing I will say. I'm not a political person, although it's unavoidable in life. But like me and like many others, I go out every day to try and do something positive to impact on the lives of other folk, and that's all you can do, innit? To not just have your own self-interest at heart. And it's a shame that there's not more people in government that feel the same.
Yeah, I think it's so easy in general to sort of get downhearted and look on social media. I mean, Jesse Marsch was saying it today. He was saying, I think it's ridiculous how people are comparing myself and Bielsa. I think there's a lot of truth in that. I think you can't really compare managers' different circumstances, isn't it? I mean, there's always going to be this new manager bounce and on all of that. And it's the same in the same interview, in the same 15 minutes, he was sort of saying, the people of Leeds and the people of this region are so incredibly open, friendly, and warm, and I've had nothing but positivity when people do recognise me. So I think it's always important to have that balance of there are more good people than annoying ones. It's just the annoying ones are really loud.
Yeah, get more coverage.
Right here. I think that's about all we've got time for. Final thoughts, Barnes. Hit me with some wisdom. What did you glean from Minder today? Were there any morals of? You've been watching some trash TV today, I understand.
Oh yeah. Which one was it today? No, I can't remember now. Is that good? Basically,
Barney's in a Groundhog Day of Minder and late 80s ITV television.
Basically, read a thread first before you comment on stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Read about things before you form an opinion. That's a good rule in general, I think. Big Mac?
Well, you want some sort of intuition, some wisdom.
Why not? It could be anything.
Well, let's bring it round to Slung Low and their mantra, which is "Be kind, be useful. We go again tomorrow."
Right. Okay. There you go.
I like that.
And my final thoughts are: if you're getting into debates online, then I strongly recommend looking up something called logical fallacies.
Careful how you spell that and type it into.
Right. There you go. Flawed, deceptive, or false arguments that can be proven wrong with reasoning. And here's the best schools. There you go. And 15 types of logical fallacies, and it sort of goes through them. So these are the weapons of debate, if you like. And if you can recognize them, then you'll sort of remove the emotion from when people are being sort of angry and dumb at you. Right. 2 weeks without football.
Amazing. Can't wait. What are we going to do?
Argue on Twitter.
Support every team Burnley are playing against.
Definitely. We'll know where we stand, won't we, after that? That's the point. I think will we have a game on hand by the time we next play?
Exactly right.
Palace. I think Palace. Final thought again for me. Palace is a big game, isn't it? Again, we win that game, depending on how Burnley get on. That could be home and hose, could we?
We could indeed. So let's leave it there then. And some final thoughts from everybody else. Did you hear Marsch's comments on his interview with TalkSport? We talked a little bit about that. No?
What did he say?
We didn't? Oh, okay. Loved All Elves, says Nora. It sounds like a great book for the common people, says Jonathan Kravitz. You're going to get that some pulp stuck in my head now. Pulp is a book as well. There's the thread that you should read. There you go. Putting it all together. See what I did there? I mashed it all together. Bloody hell.
Amazing.
Gail Dale. Away from home teams who begin with W, we win and score 3 goals.
It's good fact that. It's just, new stats, new Wiggy.
Sounds good. Get more of them in the Premier League. Nova, the partner of that bell end of an MP, they claimed £230,000 in expenses. There you go. More politics.
Wow.
Barney's got John Wayne Gacy.
I don't even know who that is.
Let's move on. West Ham, Wolves and Watford, says Gail. There you go. West Ham we play, don't we? Do we?
No.
Have I made that up? No. Forget that. Burnley. West Ham play Burnley. That's what I'm thinking of. Good pot. Catch you all later next week. Leeds, says Derek.
Fucking hell, is that me? Cheers.
Just look. John Gacy, there you go. He's in Mindhunter. There's an episode of Mindhunter where he's interviewed. Instant regret clicking enter there. No offense, Barney.
A serial killer?
That's on the thread. Yeah,
you go from clown to Burt Reynolds to serial killer in like an hour.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about
a good day, hadn't it?
Logical fallacy, which is a behavioural study. So we're ending on the CS, the FBI's criminal behaviour department. There you go, the origins of that. Agreed, Ewan. I do stuff with food, not bombs, and without them, so many people would be bollocksed. Is he turned that into a noun? That's fantastic. Everybody's against this, says Gail. I agree. Rodrigo, I didn't see this come in, says Gail. She's catching up clearly. Nicholas Griffin. Boris is say, go cold, hungry, and wear all clothes, whilst organising illegal parties and help fund USA proxy war by making us pay through his pitiful sanctions. There you go. There's a sentence with some politics for you, Nicholas Griffin. Coops, not my favourite, but I think we've missed him. Great stream tonight. That's something we can all disagree on as well. Leeds forever, MOT, says Brian L. Leeds, says Nicholas Griffin. Can't trust any politician, says Gail. And Gacy was a killer clown. So that's the connection there. Excellent. So all clowns, aren't we? Another fantastic podcast. It's been a pleasure to do this with you. It's been a pleasure to again have Wiggy, chairman of the board, on talking about the Peacock mural. Thanks for the free advertising. No, but seriously, it's wonderful what they're doing. Very proud to be associated with them, however tenuously, and proud to be with you fellas as well. Barney, LUFC 21. The clown from the internet, and Big Mac, the Danny Dyer of the North.
There you go. A northern Danny Dyer. What? I can't remember who said. I think it was my lad said, "Is that a good thing, Dad?" I thought, yeah. I think it is. I think it's meant to be a compliment. Yeah. And the thing is, I've gone very monochrome now. The lights have dipped in my front room, and I can't be asked to turn the lights on. So I've gone backwards in time. I'm in black and white now. It's brilliant.
It was only a couple of months ago that Wiggy was accused of being Danny Dyer in a nightclub. I've just remembered.
Yeah, he did. He gets lookalike. I think it's more my persona, but I think Wiggy got a genuine thought. Somebody thought it was Danny Dyer. So I'm the northern Danny Dyer. I don't know what. Yeah, Wiggy's just Danny Dyer of Leeds, isn't he?
The doppelganger Danny Dyer. Easy for me to say. Right. See you later.
See ya.
Boys. Have a good evening.
Come on, every team other than Burnley.
Come on, Burnley.